How you doing? Ryan Braswell here with Ask the Locals, and I am sitting down with the wonderful Michele Berg, the Executive Director of the Patchogue Theatre. How you doing, Michele?
Hi, Ryan. Thank you for having me here today.
Very glad to have you. It's always wonderful to have somebody who's so involved in my local community, bringing events and joy to so many people. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. So tell me, how did you get your start in the music industry?
You want me to go that far back?
I want to know a little bit. You don't have to give us the full story. I know it's robust.
Growing up, always loved music. Went to my first concert at 11, loved it, said this is the industry I want to be in. And then I think by a lot of dedication, I put myself in positions that allowed me to work at venues after college and during college. And when I came out of college and got my first job at a local venue here on Long Island, it just snowballed from there. And I just, got that foot in the door and I jammed it in and just never took it out.
Hey, listen, when you see something you want, you got to go get it, and that's amazing to be that tenacious. So how long have you been doing executive directing? I know you also ran the Bolton Center. Have you run any other
So venues? I started my career at Westbury Music Fair, not as obviously an executive director. Started at the very bottom. I was their receptionist, and then just continued to develop my career from there. And my break came, I guess, to run a facility was at the Bolton Center. And they gave me that opportunity to be able to make decisions, not only on what kind of programming that went in there, but also for staffing, budgeting. So that was really what got me to the position I'm in today at Patchogue Theatre.
That's awesome. So you're obviously very well versed in from the floor to the top when it comes to musical industry things. Is there any advice that you would give to somebody, aside from being tenacious, who's looking to get into this industry?
To be truthful, for this industry, you have to be tenacious. You have to also have a passion for it. It's not an easy career to have, whether you are an entertainer or somebody who works on the backside of the industry like myself. It's sometimes long hours. You're working with a lot of different personalities and you're really trying to navigate these challenges, but working with other people. But being tenacious and not taking no for an answer is really important. And also, really putting the time and the effort in. When somebody's a hard worker and they see that you're doing the job and you're doing it well, they're going to want you to be part of their organization.
Kind of like going that extra little mile to show you're learning the industry, understanding it, and nothing's going to get in your way from advancing.
Well, that's just it. You don't want to say to somebody who you're working with, if you're coming up the ranks, like, that's not a job I want to do. You have to do every job. I did every job, and I still continue to do every job, because I think when you work with your team and you let your team know that you're going to do the same things they're doing, it's really important. Give yourself that opportunity to learn so many facets of whatever industry you're looking to be in, and somebody recognizes that is important.
So what's the best part about being the director of the Patchogue Theatre?
My staff and I, we joke about this all the time. We go to work in a place that brings joy to so many people by bringing entertainment into the community. So for us, it's a lot of fun, and it's work. At the end of the day, it is always work. And as I mentioned, you're dealing with a lot of different personalities, from the artists to the guests that come to the shows. But really, when you think about it, we're the people that it starts with our idea, and we do all the things in between, and then the people come in and they have the best times. It ends and we're all like, wow, we did that. And that's really great, and that's a lot of fun.
I have to say, seeing the Instagram, social media, TikToks that you guys are putting out, it's just amazing. You did what was the guitar last year? Was that all the performances you did? And then you raffled it off, right?
Right. So a way that we try to raise money, because we are a nonprofit and we rely on funding from people who frequent the theater. We had a guitar that was donated to us from the local music store in the village, Family Melody, and we had the artist, as many as we could get, sign that guitar, and we did a raffle throughout the entire year. And at the end of the year, we raffled off that guitar. We're doing something similar this year for our 100-year anniversary, but we have a drum head. So Evans, D'Addario were kind enough to donate this drum head to us with our 100-year anniversary logo. And we have them backstage, and the artists have been signing them as they come in. And that's going to be what's raffled off at the end of this year.
That's amazing. And so you obviously have a couple of different fun events coming up for the 100 year. Anything special that's recent or kind of booked out that you could tell us about?
Yeah, so we did a couple already. We had a Prohibition night with our local restaurant, Whiskey Neat, which was really fun. And our actual big celebration is happening on May 20th with an artist by the name of Louis Prima Jr. His father was Louis Prima. That's going to be a great event. And that's just going to basically be a night of the mayor will get up and speak, our board chair, the previous mayor, the people that got this theater to be where it is today. I mean, obviously we weren't all around 100 years, but people who had a key role in making this theater remain successful. In the fall, we're going to do a really fun night called A Night at the Theater, where we're going to have a sleepover for adults. It's going to be very limited, and we're going to show some footage on whether or not the theater is haunted.
Oh, interesting.
That's going to be a lot of fun. We are also doing a sort of night at the museum, night at the theater kind of night for families and children in August. So that is something that we're going to be doing in partnership with our library. We're going to be doing a walking tour of the theater. So there's a lot that we're going to do, especially after May 20th, because the theater turns 100 on May 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming right up.
It's coming right up. And our party's May 20th.
And one thing I love about this is the community involvement. I mean, I've been on Long Island for over a decade, and Patchogue has come through a bunch of changes, and I'm sure there were times where maybe the theater wasn't a top priority. So seeing the involvement and everything, with the community is fantastic. So aside from fun and involved, how would you describe the culture of the Patchogue Theater, and what kind of things do you do to help, aside from what you told us, to help cultivate this wonderful vibe that Patchogue has right now?
We like to stay active with our local chamber and our local community. I attend chamber events, chamber meetings, and
you've hosted events and meetings too as well. Right?
We have in the past, and we really like to make sure we get involved. We love working with the library. We love being able to work with the restaurants. We did a really fun event where we had the cast of Napoleon Dynamite, and we had Standard Rec, the restaurant next door, provide tater tots for us. We like to make sure that we let the community know that we are there and we want to be part of what's going on. We want to take part in Alive After 5, and we just want people to support us the way we want to be able to support them.
That's wonderful. You were a funeral director, kind of, sort of, right? Is that accurate?
In all of the years I've been doing this job, I never thought that I would get a phone call from the mayor of Patchogue Village saying, we need to lend the theater to a artist who just lost their life. And I was like, what are we doing? And it turned out that we hosted the memorial for Markie. And actually it was his wake. And that was probably one of the most unique situations I had ever been in. And we were coming, it was still during COVID really. And it was really hard because I had just took the role of this executive director position. I don't even think I was actually named executive director. And we didn't even have a full staff. I'm calling, friends of mine, just asking them like, hey, can you volunteer your time and work with me that day? And they were like, for what? And I'm like, I can't really say, but I kind of need you here. I need the help. And then when, the day before, I sort of let the cat out of the bag because it had been announced and it became sort of public, but it was really very interesting.
Yeah, the photos and the memorial service, everything that was put out on social media and stuff that we saw looked like you guys did a fantastic job, and did a fine tribute, to the family, to the artist, and everything like that. Aside from having to host a memorial, before you really hosted many major shows, any other memorable performances that you've had so far at the theater? So
I'm going on my third year. And the first year that I was there, we really didn't have any events. So I really haven't been there long enough to go over a culmination of events that I've done. But just as of recent, we've been doing a lot of events that I seem to be really enjoying because they're not events that I've used to doing. I'm used to doing a lot of music, a lot of comedy. But now we're sort of breaking into this realm where we're showing films and we've got the cast of these films with the movie, or we're showing clips of TV shows with the cast of the TV show. Like we just did the cast of The Sopranos. And for me,
the Housewives at one point too,
we
right?
did have the Housewives as well. And those seem to be really shows that resonate and that are doing well and that people are having fun with. We are announcing later this month another film attached to a pretty big movie star, which is going to be fun. So you gotta, I think that's announced next week.
Tune into their socials. I'm sure it'll be put there.
So, and that's a lot of fun. And those are really events that I seem to be having a lot of fun with.
That's awesome. I mean, the Napoleon Dynamite thing to me was great. You know, just out there, questions just seemed like such a fun time. Riding a bike down the theater was fantastic.
That's a lot of fun. That's a fun part of the job too. You know, we were tasked with providing props. You know, before the show even gets to the stage, you know, we're asked a lot of things. Can we provide certain things? And there's negotiation. And there was about a page of props, you know, because they really wanted people to interact with this show. So we were asked to do things like provide the bike and get a piñata. And if the piñata could be shaped like Summer Wheatley. And my associate director, Jody, actually made a piñata. And when the guys came in, they were like, this is the greatest. Like, this is so cool.
That's the kind of, I mean, it's just the way the theater is, the vibe, the community, everything about it. You're booking a lot of different performances and stuff. Is there anything particular that goes in? Like, what's your process on deciding how, what, and when? So
there's a lot that goes into it. You know, there's recommendation. You look at other venues that are, you know, doing similar things. I work with an outside promoter from the Bowery Presents, and they're really instrumental in working alongside me and with me in bringing ideas to the table and being able to bring those artists not only to Long Island, but throughout the Northeast at other venues where we can route them together. So it's a culmination of a lot of things. Some things return year after year. Some things, again, you know, you've got a tenacious tour manager, a band manager or agent that will just keep sending information, and somehow, you know, I'll finally crack.
By the way, get through that little hole in the armor. You know, one of my fascinations with all this, and I know it not so much probably on this scale, but the writers, you know, the little extras, the fun little stories and things. Any crazy writers? What's the weirdest thing that you've ever had somebody ask you for?
You know, I've seen some funny writers over the years, and I think a lot of it is, it's really to see if you're paying attention. And I think that's where, and I'm pretty sure that there's a story, whether it's about, it might have been Kiss, Van Halen, I'm not sure, but you know, if you're paying attention to the rider and you've got somebody paying attention, that means most of your other staff are paying attention to the little details. And, you know, I've not seen anything really crazy because, you know, when these artists come in, it's their home for the day and you want them to feel welcome and you want them to feel appreciated. So you look at that rider and sometimes there's some ridiculous things and you're thinking, do they really need this?
Brown only M&Ms kind of deal.
I have a friend who sadly no longer with us, but he was one of the best tour managers ever. And he told me a funny story about how he would put Girl Scout cookies on every rider because you knew you can only get them at a certain time of the year. And some venues would overcompensate getting everything else on that rider because they knew they couldn't get that one thing. And they figured that, well, I got everything else, so hopefully it's okay that we don't have this. And really, it was just the trick.
It's a negotiation.
To have them get everything else.
It's all a negotiation.
You know, and when you know, I just had a rider recently where they had said, you know, choose an artist from the list below and put their photo backstage. And it was to see if we were paying attention. So we picked one of the artists of names they listed, and we just stuck photos everywhere, all throughout the backstage area. And, you know, they walked in and they were laughing. And I said, does every venue usually do this? Like, yeah, mostly. You know, we always like to see what artist they'll pick or what movie star they'll pick, you know, from the list of photos. So it's fun things like that. You know, they'll ask for things like postcards, you know, because some like to send, you know, letters home to their family.
Okay.
So there's some fun stuff. Nothing ridiculous. At least I don't think it's ridiculous. I think it's more fun and it's to pay attention.
I like that. Just the whole negotiation. Put on Girl Scout cookies, something like that. That is a clever little way to do it. And I won't lie. We've negotiated before on homes where, you know, we ask for a little something in repairs, fully knowing they're not going to do it because we want to, you know, it's just the way it goes. But it is funny because negotiations are everywhere. So aside from going to shows, what can people do to help support the theater? What does the theater need the most?
So we always want people to fund the arts. So if you can't buy a ticket to a show, we have a membership program that you can join that allows you to buy tickets in advance. It gives you no fees on tickets. And of course, there's always the monetary donation. If you can't give monetarily and you have some time to give, we have a really fantastic volunteer program.
That's amazing.
So the ushers and the people that collect our tickets are all volunteers. And that's pretty great. You know, they have free time to give and they want to give it to us is really wonderful.
I can't imagine why somebody wouldn't want to go to a really cool theater in a really cool town, spend wonderful time with cool artists and a very cool theater director, executive director. We got to get that title correctly. Michele, thank you so much for chatting with us. It was a wonderful time.
This was so fun. Thank you so much and good luck.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And there will be links in the description, information that we're allowed to give when we're allowed to give it. If there are secret guests in the performance coming up have been released, we will have it in the description of the video, as you can tell. Links to the Patchogue Theater, their socials, and how you can help support the theater. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.